He makes me tired.
See Joe Conklin with the City Rhythm Orchestra, July 15th in Ocean City, New Jersey, and July 22nd in North Wildwood. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com!
Hi, this is Joe Mederich, PNC Bank Regional President. At PNC Bank, our business banking team is built entirely around the way you like to do business. Need innovative mobile tools that let you manage your cash flow, monitor your payments, and more around the clock? You got it. Need a team of business bankers who are ready to sit down and help you develop personalized strategies? You got it. We're proud to be part of the Philadelphia, Delaware, and Southern New Jersey communities. Learn how PNC Bank can make a difference for you and your business at pnc.com/bankyourway. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
We're kicking off Memorial Day weekend with a short tradition. This afternoon, stop by the Frank S. Farley Plaza on the AC Expressway. Tom Giordano will broadcast live noon till 3. It's the Chickies and Pete's South Jersey Transportation Authority Summer Kickoff Celebration. Fun activities, even free crab fries. Plus, Free Toll Friday is back. From 5 to 6 p.m., Chickies and Pete's, home of the world-famous crab fries, will pay the eastbound Egg Harbor toll. This afternoon, head down the shore with Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Crime in the suburbs. Hope you locked up the house before leaving if you're departing for a long weekend, 3-day weekend, heading down the shore perhaps. Because, yeah, in the suburbs, we're talking about especially Montgomery County, Delaware County, Bucks County. And what's the correlation to Philadelphia? Moving forward, I'll also tell you and we'll reveal which so-called collar county around Philadelphia did not have the higher crime that we've seen, this crime bump. You know, we talk about every morning. I start out with on Kale and Company News Live at 6 a.m., oftentimes, unfortunately and tragically, talking about the crime in the city of Philadelphia. And for example, today, this 15-year-old high school student shot and killed on a SEPTA bus, and grief counselors helping students at Roxborough High School, where they've seen 2 teenage boys murdered this school year. I mean, it's tragic when you think about the numbers. But what about the suburbs? Because I hear people will say, well, Dawn, I know it's in the city, but thank goodness the crime is not in the suburbs. Well, yes, it has come. It's here. And thanks to our friend Todd Shepard, my friend Todd Shepard from Broad and Liberty, really lays out what's going on with suburban crime, and it's rising at a steeper pace. So welcome in, Todd Shepard. Thank you for spending a little bit of your Friday morning with us. Thank you, Todd. Good morning.
Absolutely. Happy Friday and happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, you think about this weekend and in the suburbs, I think a lot of people are running errands, and maybe you have a parade to go to honor, of course, those who've served our nation and killed in the line of duty. But as well, people will run out and maybe forget to lock the door. And that sometimes there's this sense of, oh, well, we are totally safe here in the quote unquote, in the suburbs. But when you look at the rising crime, and especially burglaries and that sort of thing, vehicle theft, it's not as safe as it once was. Can you talk about what you've written about here, Todd?
Yeah. Well, one of the first things I would say, Dawn, is you're certainly right to sort of start off talking about those couple of things that are, called property crimes, a broader category. I mean, some of the good news is, and please, everyone has to understand when I say good news, I mean, we're talking about something that's bad here. So, I'm using that with nuanced tone sometimes. I mean, we all know how bad the murder rate has been in Philly. The murder rate is up slightly in the collar counties. The good news is it's not anywhere near that increase. So before I get to the couple of things you mentioned, the property crimes, I just want to touch on what we call violent crimes or, physical or bodily crimes, because it's actually not quite as dire with those few things. So murders are, Yeah, I mean, exactly. So and for almost all of the comparisons you and I will be talking about here, in the next few minutes, we're talking about comparing 2021 offenses to 2022 offenses. So we're not talking about how many cases got cleared by the DA's office or anything like that, just the total number of crimes they actually tallied. So, for example, if we add up, Bucks, Montgomery, Delaware, Chester counties, from 2021 to 22, murders went from 78 to 86. That's up 10%. That's very regrettable. We'd all like to see those numbers going down. But obviously, that's not Philadelphia going from 300 to 500 or something like that. And another really good indicator is rapes are down not only in the collar counties, they're down statewide. But now to some of more of what you were talking about. The property crimes are where we're really seeing some eye-popping increases. And here, like for me, I mean, as I've reported on crime in my 20-year reporting career, anything over 7 or 8% of a 7 or 8% increase is usually considered pretty big by the police. Mm-hmm. But here we're talking about 20% increases generally. So again, comparing the first year of 2021 to 2022, and we sum up the 4 collar counties, burglaries were up 19%, larcenies were up 28%, and car thefts were up 23%. And I think that the car thefts may be the one stat that really sort of shows that the collar counties are in this tide with Philadelphia, and when the tide is rising there, it's going to rise in those counties as well, because especially the counties that touch Philadelphia, Bucks, Delaware, and Montgomery, or share that border, they really are the ones that had the increase in auto crimes.
Yeah, and we're talking to Todd Shepard of Broad and Liberty, and you can check out broadandliberty.com. And Todd has provided extensive, he's really investigated this, and there are charts and graphs and all of that. The reason I opened up, Todd, with saying, make sure that you lock the door, because some people, believe it or not, in the suburbs, I live in the city of Philadelphia, I can't imagine, and I get upset even if one of the kids leaves, one of the garage doors open or something.
Right.
But you look at, one sentence in here, and you have so much great detailed information, and that's important because it puts it in perspective. But this line, burglaries, you write, Todd Shepard, were up 32, 24, and 17%. So 32% Bucks County, 24% Delaware County, and then you're looking 17% Montgomery County, respectively, from 2021 to 22. Those are the burglaries, and that's how much they're up. That, to me, that blew me away. I had no idea.
Right, and I mean, I think that's a really big comparison too. And one of the things that we did in our analysis that I think will really aid anyone who spends any time with the story. And as you mentioned, we've got 6 graphs in here where we talk about each of these crimes. We've got them each by the 4 counties. Then we've got one graph where we sum it up by we put all 4 counties together. But the last one I think is what may be the most helpful, which is where we take the statewide crime data, but we subtract out Philadelphia and the collar counties, right? Mm-hmm. So that enables us to see, is this trend happening across the rest of Pennsylvania? And so for what you just said, I mean, and let me repeat it for anyone, because I know numbers can be hard on radio sometimes, but so we're talking about burglaries, Bucks up 32, Delaware up 24, Montgomery up 17. Now, if we sum all of the counties together, burglaries were up 19%. But now let's compare that to the rest of the state when we take out those 5 jurisdictions. Burglaries were basically flat in the rest of the state. They were up 0.3%. That shows you that, I mean, all of the increase in burglary in the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania from 2021 to 22, it essentially 100% of the increase happened in the collar counties in Philadelphia, which that's the sort of thing that has to be alarming. it should be alarming to the district attorneys in every one of those jurisdictions.
Yeah, and I think for me, as somebody who's experienced that, and again, I live in the Chestnut Hill section of Philadelphia, this happened to us a couple of times, but the one time we were actually sleeping and they broke in. And
Ooh.
yeah, and so I think it's scary, and we have gates, we have a security system, now we have the cameras, and so I think a lot of people sometimes you look at that. My neighbor had a terrifying situation where the burglars, she literally left with her son, her young son, left, and within maybe 90 seconds, the burglars broke in, clearly professionals according to the authorities, so they were waiting and watching for her to leave, and then went in, and they knew how many minutes they had, less than 2 minutes or something, and got in and got out, but they're professionals. They go right for the master bedroom, they go for the jewelry, they know what they're doing. And so I don't know if you had any of those kinds of stats. Are these they sound like home burglaries, and are they professionals? Those questions are ones that I always start asking. Are these, and then are they coordinated? Because we hear that too. Is this some kind of a theft ring? Sometimes that's going on. But to me, burglary, that's such an invasion of your home, and especially if you're home and you're upstairs sleeping, because that one gives you the creeps. It's scary because it goes to your children's safety, your family's safety.
Boy, it really does. And I can tell you, I mean, this was many years ago in a different state, but I had a home, the place I was living, that was burglarized. And I remember too that, this one thing that stood out about it was I opened the fridge and the burglar had eaten this piece of chocolate pie that I was saving for myself. And it sounds kind of funny, but it's kind of like chilling. I mean,
yes.
And it is very invasive. It's very difficult to describe the invasive feeling that a home burglary can cause. To all of those questions you posed, those are great questions. I don't have the answers to this. The crime data is very basic, and essentially it only deals with these 9 or 10 categories of offenses. And the story that we've written here is very long. It takes probably about 10 or 12 minutes to read. And I know a lot of people don't read pieces that long on the internet, but we made it that long just because there was, as you said, there was just so much data to go over and so many comparisons to make. But one of the things we talk about towards the end of the article is crime data is just very difficult, basically. It's always been difficult. It's always been difficult for police departments, and it's especially been difficult for, police or law enforcement agencies to find a way to appropriately sort of summarize them and get them to the public and to the media so that we can have an understanding of what's going on in our world, right? Mm-hmm. But this, we struggle with using this database that the Pennsylvania State Police provide for a number of reasons. First of all, local jurisdictions can opt out of contributing to it. So you never know what agencies aren't. So when we do an analysis like this, we're more or less assuming that there are errors in the data, but that even with errors, trends will be the trends that are revealed are more or less accurate, if that makes sense.
Yes.
That the errors sort of smooth themselves out over time to show actual trends. But I still think there are so many ways that Pennsylvania has to improve the data collection system they have right now, and to also improve the way they get that to the public. One of the things we talk about in the story is a lot of the district attorneys, and all of them, we reached out to all of them for this story. None of them commented. But using some of the comments they had made in previous talks or whatever, a lot of them are really focused on gun crimes and illegal guns. Buck's DA Matt Weintraub last year said he was seeing an increase of straw purchases in Bucks County. He was seeing an increase of younger people with illegal guns, which was concerning him. And unfortunately, all of the data that's provided by this state website, there's almost no gun data at all. So in one case, you could make an argument that a lot of these DAs are focused on a very appropriate category of crime that we would want them to be focused on. Right. But we just don't have any. I mean, we have absolutely zero data to figure out as to whether the problem was really getting worse there, and if they are, employing some new prosecution methods, or if they're getting tougher on a particular category. Is that working at all? Last thing I'll say real quick about this is, I did a story last year about this guy who was committing some burglaries and a couple of carjackings in Bucks County. He was an addict, and he was usually committing these carjackings by threatening the car driver with a dirty needle. And in 2 or 3 of the instances where he had done these carjackings, he committed them in Bucks County, but they eventually found him in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to say, I don't have any proof for what I'm about to say. This is just a theory I have in my mind. Mm-hmm. It's only a theory. But I couldn't help but wonder if the guy was committing the crimes in Bucks and then traveling back to Philadelphia because he thought maybe, the criminal justice system or the prosecution might be more lenient in Philadelphia, if he had some sense that more people were getting lower bails in Philadelphia or getting no bails. And actually, this guy I'm talking about got a release on. He was remanded in one case, which blows my mind, right? And so I do think. I mean, what I wonder when I see a lot of these stats are how many people might be Philadelphia actual residents that live close to one of these. They live close to the border of one of these counties, and it's easy for them to maybe, go to a more affluent area in another county, but then retreat back to what they feel is a safer jurisdiction in Philadelphia. But again, that's a theory that I don't have any proof for.
Yeah, and I think there are so many layers to it, as you point out. In other words, right now, first and foremost, we know that we have a drug crisis, an addiction crisis, a mental health crisis, and that goes along, when you look at burglaries and you think about who's committing those and what's their motivation to steal stuff and pay for their drugs, A, and B, as we talk about Philadelphia and the culture of crime as well. I think all of this would certainly play into it, and then the high crime in Philadelphia. It's not. I don't think it's a stretch to say that if you have a high crime area, it's going to spill over into these suburban areas. But I just think it's such a thorough report. I also found it interesting, Todd Shepard, that you talked about Chester County is the exception here as you look at the trends. And I think that's so wise that you looked at the trend as far as what's going on in all of Pennsylvania. And Chester County stands out as an outlier. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, and this is one of those instances where I have to say I was very perplexed that, like I said earlier, we reached out to the district attorney in all 4 of these counties. And if there was one that I thought would want to talk, it would be, the district attorney in Chester County, where they've had some success. The decreases are not huge, but they're there. So, robberies are down. And again, when you're talking about Chester County, you're sort of starting with the numbers are lower generally. So sometimes the percentage change can be exaggerated a little bit, but like robberies are down in actual raw numbers, they're down by about a dozen. So that's a 14% change. Burglaries, what you and I were talking about, basically flat from 21 to 2022. Really the only category that increased was larceny, and motor vehicle thefts were down. So, I know that they have a Democrat district attorney in Chester County, but I don't get the sense that at least I have not seen these big pushes for the so-called progressive criminal justice reform, certainly not of the style the Krasner we've seen. And obviously what you get in Delaware County is Jack Stolzheimer, where it's a little bit more of a measured look. What Stolzheimer is doing in Delaware County, he's actually testing some of his reforms before he just jumps full into them like Krasner. I mean, Krasner's reforms really are a wrecking ball. He just, I mean, he doesn't test. He just throws it, and he just hopes that, I mean, he just kind of hopes that he wrecks the system, it almost seems like sometimes. So, but yeah, but I also think it's worth noting that, you know, that Chester County doesn't have that actual contiguous border also with Philadelphia. So even though it's a collar county, it is insulated just a little bit. One other thing, too, I would say very quickly, Don, is just, you know, to go back to auto thefts and the trends across the counties elsewhere, you know, one thing to think about is that auto thefts are sometimes they are a lever to commit other crimes. I mean, man, I've done a lot of crime reporting in my life. I've done a lot of ride-alongs with a lot of police, and what they always tell me is, you know, the thing that concerns them most about a car theft is that the easiest crime to commit is one that you do with a stolen car, right? Because the plates aren't yours, the vehicle doesn't tie back to you. So I think that's and kind of what you were talking about the drug problems and everything else. What really concerns me about the auto thefts is how much of a lever that provides to either addicts who are tempted by a life of crime, or, you know, people that are just already, you know, 2 feet into their life of crime. That these car thefts really just, it provides them a lever to commit far more mayhem, whatever they intend to do.
Yeah, and that's when my minivan was stolen, and with the kids' car seats and their, you know, little soccer equipment. And I said to police, Philadelphia police, why would they take a minivan? You know, why in the world? And they said, oh, that's prime, especially with the, you know, you have the child seats in the back, because when they pull up for, you know, whatever, they're going to do a hold up at a 7-Eleven or whatever, nobody suspects that minivan looks like, oh, it's a dad in a minivan and he's running in to get some milk. And so you're not a suspect walking in the door. And I said, oh, my goodness. That's, you know, they said they love the minivans and not just they're carjacking, stealing them for the reason that you're saying, because certain vehicles raise less suspicion when they're in the commission of the second crime that goes on. That's
incredible.
So
you have a personal example that just that illustrates that so perfectly. That's incredible. And I'm sorry that happened to you.
Oh, you're sweet to say that. Thank you. Yeah, they did actually catch the guy, Carlos Calles. I still remember his name, and I went to court, and it was a whole thing in Philadelphia. They ultimately had a bench warrant. They found him, ironically, in Delaware County. He was arrested, and then but he lived in Philadelphia, to your point, and that was how they got him, and he went through the courts and was convicted, served his time and all of that. So, but it was, and that's the other piece of it. I think a lot of people, I really had to be persistent, even for a stolen vehicle like that, because you go to court 4 or 5 times, you're taking off work, you have to pay for parking, you know, and I think a lot of victims of these types of crime might be incentivized to not go through with it just because of your time and cost to have to be a witness. And I think that they need to figure that out as well.
It's very burdensome. You're right. Yeah. And the burden shouldn't be on the victim that much. One other thing I'll say is one thing we are keeping our eye on for the rest of the year is there was a 4 or 5 year period, you know, basically the 4 or 5 years leading up to the pandemic, where the auto thefts in Philadelphia were hovering generally between, let's say, 5,500 and 6,500 auto thefts per year. Mm-hmm. The city right now is easily on pace to reach 20,000 car thefts this year. So now the city has seen that level before. The car thefts were at that level from about, I think, 90, like the 88 to 95 or something. Mm-hmm. So it's not like the city hasn't seen these levels before. But the deal is things were very good for many. They were very good, very stable for 7 or 8 years in Philadelphia. Yeah. And now all of a sudden it's just rocketing back up to levels we don't want to be at.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, Todd Shepard, thank you. Great work as always. And everybody, you know, can go to broadandliberty.com and you can read all through it, and just some great information packed in here. I know you worked very long and hard on this, Todd. Thank you so much for taking the time out for us.
Well, thanks always for having us on.
Thank you. Have a blessed Friday and a blessed Memorial Day weekend. Thanks, Todd.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, and again, it's broadandliberty.com. You know, a couple of things that I would say about this, it's really worth a few minutes to look over this, especially if you do live in the suburbs or the city. There's Philadelphia information in here as well. But as you look through it and you think about what's happening, so yes, we have the crime crisis, we have the addiction crisis, the mental health crisis, and then we have an economic situation. We have obviously high inflation, we have joblessness, hopelessness. All of those factors, unfortunately, work toward these types of crime. And so obviously if the economy is good and people can work and they can get those jobs, then those, especially those burglaries and those kinds of crimes traditionally will go down. But I think there are many layers to this story. And the final thing I'll say about it, and thanks again to Todd Shepard, Broad and Liberty, because they do such great work. The final thing I'll say is years ago, I did what's called a burglar poll. I'll have to pull up the story. I think I was working for, I don't know if it was Fox or CBS 3 locally when I was anchoring the news. But we asked some local and state prisons if they would please allow us to, give out a poll. So we delivered those. It was convicted burglars, and they filled out what we called a burglar poll, and then we broke it down. And then afterwards, I went in and I was able to interview some of those individuals who were serving time for their burglary conviction and trying to turn their lives around and follow a path to a new life and redemption and all of that. So the bottom line here is that the number one deterrent was a dog. And it didn't matter the size of the dog. They didn't want to deal with the dog. And nosy neighbors were up there, security systems. And at one point we asked, security system, and that was number 2. And they named ADT at the time, but that was before Ring doorbells or any kind of doorbell that you see nowadays. So I would wonder how that would go. But I swear to this day that if you have a dog and you have the dog home, it's a huge deterrent. And so it's one more reason, maybe if you're leaving for a few days, get somebody, maybe a teenager or a college student, somebody who's still staying home, get somebody to house sit for you and just stay with the dog, because they hear a barking dog, they go to the next house. So there's that piece of it. So kudos to my buddy boy there. You can rescue him from a shelter and they keep you safe, and they're great company and best friends too. So that was the burglar poll that I had done here in Philadelphia a few years back. All right, we have so much to talk about. Larry Menti, my better half, is going to be up at 11 a.m., so he has so much prepared. He's been doing his research, so we'll talk about everything nationally, locally, etc. This is The Dawn Show. I thank you for joining us. And 855-839-1210. If you want to sound off, we're going to take a break. Be right back.
Rich Zioli.
The new movie that was about that guy who flies jet planes, you know who I'm talking about? Top Gun.
You know, the one with the guy with the planes, and he's flying in the planes, and then, you know that one? If the kid had said airplane, he'd probably said, yeah, that's it. I can do this all day. I saw this shark movie recently. A shark eats everybody at the beach, and then it bites the boat. Jaws? Yeah, that's it.
Rich Zioli, weekday afternoons, 3 to 7. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT. And on the free Odyssey app.
Hi, it's Rich Zioli. I'm joined here today by my friend, the co-president and CEO of Cooper University Healthcare, the one and only Dr. Anthony Mazzarelli. Dr. Maz and I are here to tell you about our buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria. Not only is he my dentist, he's my family's dentist as well. And not sure if you knew this, he's Dr. Maz's dentist too.
That's right, Rich. Dr. Mike Veneria is and has been my dentist also. And you know, doctors choosing doctors, that can be quite a selective process. And not only do I go to him, but for years, my sister and my niece and my nephew, the whole family goes.
Well, it's no secret. We're all delighted by the care that Dr. Mike Veneria and his award-winning team provide, and you need to check him out.
Whether you're looking for pediatric, general, cosmetic, implant dentistry, you don't need to look any further. Dr. Veneria's office does everything. Dr. Veneria's office also exceeds all CDC guidelines and has always maintained the strictest infection control, like their centralized UV sterilization of airflow, which is incredibly important to me.
Locations are right over the bridge in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. Your perfect smile's waiting. Call 856-786-2020 or visit veneriadental.com.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, Costco members have a $2,500 incentive on the purchase or lease of an electric Volvo. There is a $1,000 incentive on all gas and hybrid 2023 models. Explore this safe and versatile 2023 XC90 and take advantage of special financing, a rate of under 5%. Visit Cherry Hill Volvo for a full list of extraordinary offers for both new and previously owned Cherry Hill Volvos. Visit us now. We have the inventory and we have competitive offers.
Lose weight and feel great with NJ Diet. NJ Diet uses DNA and blood work to help you lose weight and keep it off. Tune into the radio show Sunday at 2 or visit njdiet.com. Don't miss the Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
This is Flea for This Little Light, a podcast about falling in love with music. I started a nonprofit music school about 20 years ago called the Silver Lake Conservatory of Music. The reason that I started doing this podcast was music education. I'll be speaking with Rick Rubin, Thundercat, Stuart Copeland, Margot Price, Corey Henry, Cynthia Erivo, Sheila E., and Patty Smith.
Please listen and follow This Little Light, a presentation of Cadence 13 on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Enjoy exclusive after-hours access to America's most historic prison all summer long. Night tours, Summer Twilight returns to Eastern State Penitentiary select evenings from May 25th through September 4th. Explore the historic cell blocks with a self-guided audio tour narrated by actor Steve Buscemi. Grab a drink in the Fairchance Beer Garden featuring Triple Bottom Brewing Company and take part in special hands-on activities and events. Learn more and get your tickets now at easternstate.org.
Don't let woke win. Follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
We had some crazy stories from Bucks County this morning that I'll go over quickly. In one case, we know that there were explosives removed from one Bucks County home, according to sources, saying that they removed them from the home. The bomb squad, Philadelphia bomb squad, assisting this case in Bucks County, so Morrisville, Pennsylvania, and they say that the explosive devices were found in the home, safely removed, nobody injured, and so they continue to investigate that one. So we don't know. They've not revealed to us the details of this, but a nice tree-lined neighborhood, little blue houses, all beautifully maintained. What in the world was going on, we don't know, and we don't know who reported it, who brought in, called, notified authorities. So we will hopefully get more details on that one. Somebody seeing something and saying something, perhaps. And what then did they avert? That's a big question for me. And I will follow up on that one, because whenever you hear these stories, you think to yourself, if this was somebody who, I don't know, found something in the basement, was it another family member, a teenager? What were they plotting? And is this a case where somebody did the right thing and called into police, and then authorities acted appropriately and quickly and just averted what might have been something tragic or sinister? So I will follow up on that one. I'm always curious. So it doesn't sound like they, found some fireworks or something of that nature. It sounds serious. And then, of course, I had talked to you, updating the story earlier about this. Oh, it's just so sad with this 15-year-old high school student, Roxborough High School, was killed on a bus this week, a SEPTA bus. And I know that the news conference was going on as my show was coming on, as the Dawn Show was coming on. So we were monitoring that. The big news out of that, I know that they've just released some video of that suspect. The problem is, as we told you yesterday, the suspect wearing, a full mask and full coverage. So these masks, shiesty, these masks are not supposed to be worn on the actual bus, but they do this all the time. And you see them on bicycles. And I think to myself, why is it, this is a warm, nice day, 75 degrees, beautiful, bright, sunny day. And there's somebody dressed in all dark clothing with dark shoes and this mask covering their entire face. You can barely see their eyes, the hoodie. Sometimes they have gloves. And you're thinking, well, that person is up to no good. It's not one of those pastel blue, masks like a COVID mask. But to me, I think they have to make the rule ultimately not just about these so-called shiesty masks, these full face covered masks, but I think that no matter what, if somebody has their face covered, they need to, when they board SEPTA, whether it's a bus or train, whatever it is, public transit, they should for a moment just pull that down, so the camera, as they walk up the stairs or enter that SEPTA vehicle, that they show their face, they reveal their face for identification purposes. I don't know what you think about that, but to me, would it be a deterrent? Because I think sometimes these criminals are emboldened, if you will. They're emboldened by the fact that they think they can wear the masks and that they think they are anonymous. So now they're banning these masks, announcing the ban, but as well releasing new information, releasing some new video surveillance of that suspect accused of killing a 15-year-old high school student at Roxborough High School. Grief counselors were on hand this morning as well. There was another just crazy story in Bucks County as well, more rural. But this was the case, and I didn't even look if we have audio on it, but this is a case of these parents getting the Parents of the Year award, no doubt. But these parents were arrested. Apparently they're out on bail at this point. Their children found in unthinkable squalor and malnourished kids who've never been in school. It's a horrible story. And, the fact that these parents are charged with all of these different child endangerment type crimes, it's heartbreaking. You think this stuff can't happen or doesn't happen in America. But these kids, ages 4 to 16, found living in these horrible, nasty conditions, fecal matter all over the place. And the one little 12-year-old, what struck me, the little 12-year-old, she said to one of those, as they called in the authorities and social workers and all of that, and the 12-year-old girl said, well, can I get a blanket for my pet rats? So they had no toys, no books, nothing. And so literally I guess she had caught some rats in the woods, and that's what the children were playing with, the rats. One of the children had maggots. They had to shave their heads, some of them, because their hair was so matted that there was no hope in trying to untangle. I mean, that's the level of this situation. And the worst thing, not worse, but one of the situations was they said there was a huge padlock that locked up the refrigerator. And the stellar mother, in this case, under arrest, the authorities, when they questioned her and said, why do you have a huge padlock on your refrigerator? And she said, oh, well, because these kids, they constantly, they want to eat everything. And she called them human garbage disposals with legs. That's how she regarded her children, telling police they had to lock the refrigerator because the children were, quote, stealing food from the family. If you look at their mugshots, they released their mugshots of these two. They're well fed and they look very healthy. The parents, that is. But as far as the children, we are being told that the children are extremely malnourished and have suffered, and they didn't even know their date of birth, and they had never been to school, and it's just, oh my gosh. So child abuse among the charges they're facing, but these two Bucks County parents, and these are felony charges, 47-year-old Shane Robertson, 37-year-old Crystal Robertson. They were arrested there on Roseanne Lane, West Rock Hill Township, and charged with endangering these are their children from ages 16 to 4 years old. And now the children enter the system and they're getting medical care first, and then apparently they will be put into foster care. Just a horror. Oh, you do have sound? Okay, Anthony found some audio, so let's listen in.
It irritates me.
Mother of 4 Tammy DeHaven became concerned after she saw a neighbor's child who appeared malnourished and going into an abandoned trailer last month here in Sellersville, so she called police.
I figured the trailer park couldn't do anything about it, so I figured I'd call the police and see if they could come in and do something.
Officers with Penridge Regional Police quickly responded. They say they made a disturbing discovery at this home. Police say 7 children ages 4 to 16 were found. Officers say they were wearing filthy clothes and living in deplorable conditions with disintegrating floors, bugs, and a lack of food.
As part of the medical treatment that the children had, there was some significant dental health issues and also some issues with some eye care, and malnourishment.
An affidavit of probable cause alleges, quote, none of the 7 children had any formal education and all lacked basic knowledge. Some of the children did not know their own birth dates.
It's horrible.
No one answered the door when I knocked Thursday, even though it sounded like people were inside. Is there anything you'd want to say in defense of these allegations? Police charged the children's parents, 47-year-old Shane Robertson, and his wife, 37-year-old Crystal Robertson, with 7 felony counts of endangering the welfare of children. Both are free on bail. If there was something you could tell those parents, what would you say to them?
How could you do that to a child? I hope they're taken care of. So that's what they deserve. They deserve to be children.
And police tell us those children are now living with other family members or with the foster family.
Yeah, so thank God for one person, and that's just it. It took one concerned mom in the community. She saw this. It's the old saying, if you see something, say something. And perhaps save the lives of these children, but certainly made a huge difference in their lives as they can now get some medical care and get some love and get some good food and nutrition. It's so sad. We do have some breaking news with regard to the looming deadline. It looks like they've reached yet another impasse as the talks in Washington, D.C., Speaker Kevin McCarthy speaking out, saying he will not guarantee a deal will pass by June 1st, which the Treasury Department, of course, has given out all those dire warnings, and we're missing debt payments and all of that. So we'll update you on what's going on a national level with the deal that has not yet been reached, as the debt limit deal still not yet close at hand as the risk of a first ever default grows. What that means, we'll talk about that. And so many other interesting medical studies as well we will get to. And of course, if you want to share your story, are you heading out today? Are you already in place? Did you leave yesterday? Because I know a lot of people left yesterday. The busy travel times by road today, 3 to 6 p.m. A lot of freebies today, this Friday, and then so much in store this weekend. So we'll get to all of it. Speaking of road trips, what a great time of year to find that certified or a pre-owned vehicle from my friends at the Piazza Auto Group. Did you know that Piazza actually carries more than 1,200 pre-owned vehicles at any given time? Not only the brands that you hear me talk about, of course, my Honda Odyssey minivan, Acura, Mazda, Hyundai, Volkswagen, but all the other brands. I mean, there are so many out there to choose from, so many you could imagine. They've got everything. They've got a huge selection. Just visit piazzaautogroup.com. You can search Piazza's pre-owned inventory or for a dealer near you, and they're all over the place, as I say, whether it's New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware. So it's piazzaautogroup.com, Piazza autogroup.com, piazzaautogroup.com. Make sure you tell them Dawn sent you.
Did you know researchers at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia are on the cusp of a cure for sickle cell disease? Learn how you can support this breakthrough by participating on June 3rd. Learn more about the event at chopsicklecellwalk.org.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Are you tired of paying too much? Rescue Natural Supplements are rolling back prices to 2013 on top of Memorial savings all month long. That's right. For the entire month of May, you can buy 2 products, get 1 free, or buy 3 products and get 2 free on every single Rescue supplement. Combine decade-old rolled back prices with free bottles for huge savings. Stock up on all your favorites. 1250 Omegas, cholesterol supporters, probiotic, and brand new health gummies are all on sale. To order, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a rescue product consultant or shop online, res-q.com, res-q.com. Don't miss out on this opportunity to save big. Rescue is over 50 products to target your health goals, and everything is on sale. Rolled back prices and memorial deals start now and last through the end of the month. So go shop res-q.com today. That's res-q.com.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Father's Day is right around the corner. And listen, as a dad, I can tell you this. We don't want ties. We don't want sweaters. We want steaks. That's right. Delicious steaks from Omaha Steaks. I get this for my dad every year, and he loves it. And right now, when you use my name, Zioli, at checkout, you're going to get $30 off your qualifying order at omahasteaks.com. You can choose from a variety of mouth-watering packages that include fork, tender, bacon-wrapped filet mignons or other gourmet, wonderful foods like air-chilled boneless chicken breasts, burgers, jumbo franks, and many more favorites. And don't forget to save room for dessert. Most gift packages come with 4 delicious caramel apple tartlets. So just go to omahasteaks.com, use code ZIOLI at checkout, and get $30 off an unforgettable gift that is guaranteed to make Dad's day. Because if there's one thing we know, it's that dads want steak. omahasteaks.com, promo code ZIOLI at checkout. Minimum order is required. See site for details.
Wells Fargo gives you access to direct deposit funds up to 2 days early.
Plus, if you look at the X and Y axes...
What if everything came 2 days early? Like the weekend.
Well, that was a pleasant surprise.
You can't get everything early, but when it comes to direct deposits, you can with Wells Fargo.
Visit wellsfargo.com/get-early to learn more. Terms and conditions apply. Not all direct deposits are eligible. Early availability is not guaranteed and may vary between deposits from the same payer. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Growing a business brings pressure. Staying compliant and retaining top talent in challenging times. You feel stretched thin. Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put over 35 years of HR service and technology to work, offering my employees competitive benefit options while lightening my HR load. Engaged people empowered to be their best means overcoming obstacles. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Hoffman, owner of Mainline Pro Painting. We specialize in painting homes and businesses in the Mainline suburbs and surrounding areas, delivering the highest quality of professionalism, attention to detail, and customer service. We also give back to our community. We recently partnered with Sherwin-Williams and the Travis Manion Foundation in painting the home of U.S. Marine veteran Chris Guarana, in honor of my father, U.S. Army veteran Lawrence Benjamin Noel. To bring your home to life, visit us at mainlinepropainting.com.
That's the getaway car.
75 years ago, a CBS newsman was murdered.
This is George Polk reporting from Athens.
Witnesses answered that the communists must have done it.
An innocent man was framed.
I didn't have the power to deny anything.
I'm Stephen Portnoy, and in this program I'll bring to light an infuriating story of injustice and a Cold War cover-up.
It may be that the full story will never be told.
Who killed George Polk? Sunday night at 7 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, Ben Salem, tell your smart speaker play 1210 WPHT.
You know, I told you yesterday about the victory for the granny, the Minnesota granny. It's an incredible story, and it's really horrifying when you think about a county, any county, but this happens across America in something like more than a dozen states where they can, seize your home, seize your property if you owe some back taxes. Well, it turns out she initially owed maybe $2,000 in back taxes, and then they added on some $13,000 in all these fees and late fees and interest rates and all of that. This poor woman, and ultimately she had to go through years in the courts. She's now 94. And yesterday I had told you as a breaking news story that the high court had actually ruled in Geraldine's favor and said that the county was wrong, that they seized her home, a condominium, one-bedroom condo of this elderly woman, great-grandmother, and took it and then sold it for $40,000, making a $25,000 profit. So they should have at least taken their money out, which was ridiculous, but they didn't. They did. So there was a $25,000 profit. And so they stole the equity in her home. and she felt that was wrong. So ultimately, I don't know if the lawyer representing her was pro bono, I hope, but it was a huge win. And the Supreme Court, it was unanimous, by the way, unanimous decision. And so she wins. She doesn't get her home back, but at least she gets the $25,000, which I'm sure in this economy, a 94-year-old great-grandmother certainly can use that kind of money. But there were other rulings as well, and I can't even believe. I mean, we can believe what's going on. I saw that Chuck Schumer, this guy is a piece of work. So he's publicly saying, "Oh, that MAGA court, they're making." By the way, most of these rulings that I'm talking about were unanimous rulings. Okay, so it's not a MAGA court; it's a smart court that's looking at the law. But as far as these water rulings and the EPA, I love these rulings. And moving forward, want to go through some of this as we think about all of these different rulings. But Schumer yesterday had ripped the Supreme Court after its vote on the EPA waters rules. And I've talked about this before. I know Rich Cioli has talked a lot about it and had some great interviews last night with regard to the Supreme Court. But the headline here is great because it's a 9-0 vote. 9-0. It's not a MAGA Supreme Court, is it? Is he saying that Justice Sotomayor, right, or Ketanji Brown Jackson, are these people MAGA? Because I don't think so. It was a 9-0 vote on this EPA waters rule. And it's important for our region, but it's especially important for farmers. So Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who's a Democrat from New York, had slammed SCOTUS's ruling yesterday. It limits the Environmental Protection Agency's ability to regulate bodies of water, okay? And Schumer is making it seem political. It's really not. It's about the law. But the High Court issued that opinion. It narrowed the EPA's broad definition of waters of the United States, WOTUS. They love this. POTUS, SCOTUS, So the court said that the federal government has to define the waters, what they mean by waters of the United States, as a water source with a continuous surface connection to major bodies of water. So this decision definitely, this impacts the Biden administration and its attempts to regulate wetlands, lakes, even if you have a little stream that runs near your property, a pond, okay? Because Biden wanted to, this is about government control and government overreach. That's what it is. Farmers especially were very upset about this because maybe you've got a little pond, you've got a stream, you live near a lake, but it's not on the lake, etc. And so it was really giving the federal government this broad level of authority under the Clean Water Act. So they were trying to redefine all this and get away with it. So now the Supreme Court comes in and says, no. We have to have definitions, and they can't be a broad definition. We have to have a narrow definition. And there's a reason for that. So Schumer comes out and calls the Supreme Court a MAGA court, erodes our country's environmental laws. And he assumes that we're all a bunch of uneducated idiots. And, it's sickening. He insults the intelligence of all Americans. But unfortunately, there are many people, and I imagine MSNBC or CNN even, they interview Schumer, they talk to him and let him spew these lies, when in fact, that's not what this is about at all. And by the way, I'm all for dealing with and protecting the wetlands, whether it's you think of Florida, usually the Florida wetlands, but they're across America and certainly here in our area. It's important to have clean water, protect the water. I get it. But the court did split 5-4 in its analysis of how the federal government should define a water source under the Clean Water Act. Apparently, I guess that's what he's referring to, but the overall rulings were absolutely 9-0, and they were unanimous. So I'll go there. So a victory for farmers, and Republicans and industry groups had really, reacted to this. and said that this is a blow against and a real victory for those private landowners. But it's something that puts forth a check when we think of checks and balances, and as far as federal overreach and excessive regulation and government control. And so we've seen Republicans on a national level and on a state level praising this decision as a legal, right, appropriate decision. But the White House, they had said that the court's decision takes our country backwards. Because why? They think forward. Part of forward is government control, government overreach, and excessive regulation. That's why they think it's backwards, quote unquote. All right, we have so much ahead. I think I heard Larry coming in. Did he come in, Anthony? I think if you heard a little noise in the background, that was Larry making his way in, I think he went to get some water. So we'll let him get a drink of water, settle in. Larry Menti and the Dawn Show continues right around the corner.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. May is National Bike Month, so use your bike instead of your car or for a little bit of exercise. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Start your Memorial Day weekend down the shore with Rich Zioli live from the Grand Hotel in Cape May. This afternoon, 3 till 7 p.m. The Grand Hotel is located at 1045 Beach Ave, Cape May. On your way to Cape May, stop by and say hi. This afternoon, 3 till 7. This afternoon, 3 till 7. Only on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. If your child needs support, special tutoring, and custom instruction, METC is here to help. Now's the time to call to Kathy Gannon, METC. Call the Motivational Educational Tutoring Company for over 30 years. METC's tutoring studio, founded by educator Kathy Gannon, has helped people of all ages to grow personally and academically. Call Kathy at 215-493-4200. METC offers motivational SAT prep as well as academic skills and leadership training. 215-493-4200. Now's the time to get assistance. For your child to help them succeed, all you have to do is visit online at METC.com. METC's tutoring studio. Call them today, 215-493-4200, or email Kathy directly, info@METC.com. Remember, 1210 listeners receive a free 1-hour consultation. Take advantage of this opportunity to help your child get one-on-one help. 215-493-4200, 215-493-4200.
Tasty Cake believes it's what's on the inside that counts, but a sweet new wardrobe doesn't hurt. Your favorite Tasty Cake treats like butterscotch crimpets, candy cakes, pecan swirls, and more are now in new packaging. The treats you know and love have not changed a bit, only their fresh new packaging. That's right, new look, same tasty treats. So start your summer off right and grab yourself a Tasty Cake treat today, because the only thing better than what's on the outside is what's on the inside. Tasty Cake, except no substitutes.
You're invited to a private showing of the most important movie you'll see in retirement. The Baby Boomer Dilemma is a groundbreaking documentary from award-winning director Doug Orchard. Throughout the film, Nobel Prize winners, PhDs, and esteemed economists expose the cracks in the financial industry that have 401ks, IRAs, Social Security, and other retirement plans on the brink of collapse. After the movie, you'll receive an education that's unlike any other. Learn how to apply the solutions presented by these experts, which align with and validate our proprietary crash-proof retirement system, proven by over 5,000 consumers. Register for this complimentary screening at the William Penn Inn on June 6th and let Crash Proof Retirement provide you the crucial information you need to avoid the baby boomer dilemma that's on the horizon. Registration is required. Call 800-722-9728 or visit crashproofretirement.com.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
We're kicking off Memorial Day weekend with a shore tradition. This afternoon, stop by the Frank S. Farley Plaza on the AC Expressway. Tom Giordano will broadcast live noon till 3. It's the Chickies and Pete's South Jersey Transportation Authority Summer Kickoff Celebration. Fun activities, even free crab fries. Plus, Free Toll Friday is back. From 5 to 6 p.m., Chickies and Pete's, home of the world-famous crab fries, will pay the eastbound Egg Harbor toll. This afternoon, head down the shore with Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
Right now, someone around you is at risk of an overdose. It might not be today, but when it happens, you can be ready to save their life. Naloxone is a medication that reverses opioid overdose. Available without a prescription at your local pharmacy. It's simple to use, easy to carry, and safe to administer. And it works in minutes. Learn more about naloxone and naloxone training at pa.gov/opioids. Because it might be today that you save a life.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Rich Zioli.
Did the COVID-19 virus originate from the Chinese Wuhan Institute of Virology?
I have no idea.
Huh? What do I know? I don't know nothing. And he pulls a complete Frank Pantangeli in that moment.
I don't know nothing about that.
You know, they said, Fauci wanted a deal. He said, say it was a civet or a raccoon dog. I said, yeah, that's all it was. I don't know nothing about that, Senator.
Rich Zioli, weekday afternoons 3 to 7. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
TikTok, June 1st will be here before we know it. What's going on with the deadline, the debt deadline coming down to the wire? We're talking about that. Everything local. Sing a little On the Way to Cape May, Jersey Shore. What are you doing this weekend? Larry Menti is in the house, my better half.
You excited about Ocean City?
Always.
We'll be in Ocean City tonight.
I know, I love Ocean City.
So if you see Dawn in the boardwalk, stop and say
hi.
Yeah, we'll be there tonight. I can't wait. Every year, I just can't wait for this. I love your line about going over the causeway into Ocean City and the smell and how you get butterflies in your stomach.
I do.
I love that.
To this day. It's like I'm a kid. And I just get the butterflies. I'm like, I can't wait.
I'm so glad that this station, I don't think this station's ever done, at least that I've heard, the what is your favorite shore town? Because it's such a lame question. Do you know what I'm talking about, Anthony?
The best one's the one where you could get a cheap room.
Yeah,
which is nowhere.
It's so stupid because everybody's favorite location is where their memories were made as a child. Every single person you talk to is going to say, if I spent all my childhood in Ocean City, it's going to be Ocean City.
Yep.
But I'm not somebody that spent their childhood in Wildwood, and it's Wildwood isn't wrong. There is no best.
Yeah.
It's just it's a great getaway. It's a dumb question. Don't ever do it.
I never have. I never will. Because I agree with you. You're going to go. Now, our favorite is Ocean City, but we love Cape May. We love visiting Cape May.
Yeah.
And certainly Sea Isle City because we have family.
Yeah.
So it's also, so it's, we have our fave.
Yeah.
But then we have
absolutely.
Other
I love, I love the seafood at Mike's Seafood. Yeah. So I got the plug in.
Gotta get it. We have to have a campaign for Mike because he has a best of every year, and he got second place.
Yeah. He'll be packed this weekend.
Yeah, he will.
So hopefully now that I mentioned him, we can get ahead of the line.
So true. So what do you want to start with? And we have to get to your Substack, your great writing that you did. So
the one article I did.
The one article that you did that I forgot to talk about before.
We don't have to. It's
I'm like,
oh, forget it. Just forget it.
No, I'm not going to forget it.
Yeah, you know what? This will be the first time down the Jersey Shore where you can enjoy the sunrise and the horizon without having to see those wind turbines.
Yeah, so I guess we better take pictures and enjoy it while we can.
Yep, because everything's going to be ruined for you.
Yeah.
What if a dolphin washes up on shore this weekend? What if a whale washes up on shore this weekend? Then it's going to get some coverage. It'll get coverage like never before. Who was that?
That's the filmer. I hate those drops, Anthony. I hate them. They're so juvenile.
What did he say?
It's Governor Phil Murphy going, we are New Jersey. We are New Jersey. The way he says New Jersey.
That's bound to happen though, Larry. You're saying that kind of like facetiously, but that like the stats, Dawn, you said the other day we're at 49 and yearly average is 50. So that's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not this weekend, but you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, during the summer you're talking about. Yeah, it will. It will. And then it's going to be an enormous story.
So where do people find your article?
On Substack.
Okay.
Just do Substack,
Larry
Menti. And it's a long article.
I proofread it, so I hope it doesn't have any typos.
Yeah, you do
I'm the
proofread
proofreader.
Dawn proofreads everything I write. Everything I write.
I'm pretty
for a good reason, because I'm awful. I have misspellings, I have grammar mistakes, and she's tremendous. She does all the kids' papers. It's been wonderful. You want to talk about DeSantis and Trump, what everybody else is talking about?
Yep. Go for it.
Yeah, I understand, and you brought this up that we should talk about this and the polls and I know why you're doing it, because poor Dawn comes home every day after being 6 hours on the air and doing her own show for 2 hours, 6 hours, which by the way is unheard of. 6 hours on the air, and then you come home, and right away I'm like Rain Man. You know, I hit you at the door saying, "Hey, did you see Pence is gaining? Pence,
like,
he's definitely going up. Nick Cale, definitely."
That's a good.
I meant to say Nikki Haley, and I said Nick Cale. I get those two mixed up all the time. They look so much alike.
Nikki. Who has better legs?
Nick. That's a toss-up.
610-622.
So, yeah, that's why you can get it all out of me now, and I won't have to bug you when we get home. But the DeSantis-Trump thing is fascinating. It's the political battle of of the last 4 years. I was going to say of the century, but it is an amazing political battle. And I've been looking at the polls, and these polls that are going to be coming out over the next 3 weeks are going to be fascinating to watch, to see if DeSantis can move up at all, because he has had the most precipitous drop in the polls that I have ever seen. And it doesn't get a lot of reaction, but if you go back to, I believe it was March 12th, when CNN put out a poll, and DeSantis was ahead by 2 points in that same exact poll. Now he's down 27 points. That's a 29-point drop. If you go to Real Clear Politics and look at their average of all the major polls, he's down over 30 points. Trump's now doubled him. And so more than doubled him, because I think one was 19 to 53. So he has a lot of groundwork to do, and I think he got in too late. I don't think the Twitter thing, I mean, I know it's great to report about and how bad it was, and it was embarrassing mostly for Elon Musk, not for DeSantis, because I thought DeSantis was actually really good once they figured out the problems. But I do think I figured out why he had that drop.
Why?
Because DeSantis's strength has always been Trump. He's been the mini Trump. He has taken what Trump has done and did it in Florida.
Wait a minute. Do you mean mini Trump?
That's right.
Like, okay, like Austin Powers with the pinky?
Exactly.
Oh, I like that.
Exactly.
Mini
and so
Trump.
The Trump supporters loved DeSantis, loved him until he took on Trump. And as soon as he took on Trump, he nosedived. And I'm not positive he can ever get that back. I know that there are ardent DeSantis supporters, and I understand why. He's a really impressive candidate. And I wish that we didn't have these two sides attacking each other. Every Trump supporter on Twitter decides they have to attack DeSantis.
Yeah.
You don't. You don't. It's one big party. Let the debates play out. Look, you're winning by a lot right now. Don't worry about it. Let it happen, because you don't want to ruin the future of your party.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't win this time, he's going to be back. And so you don't want to ruin him. So just let it play out. Even though Donald Trump says they're going to have an all-out assault
I know.
on DeSantis. Oh, my God, please.
But, when he says that, the truth is, if you like him, you know him. And when he says, we're going to have an all-out assault, you're like, you kind of smile, because that's Trump. He's saying, I'm going to put up a fight. And this guy, I made this guy. And so what I giveth, I taketh away.
Yeah, he's going to start it. He's going to attack him. He's going to attack him constantly. And the debates, if Trump shows up, and I'm sure Trump's going to show up, if Trump, he can't avoid. I've heard that he likes the TV cameras. And so my feeling is he's going to be there with that big of an audience. Yeah. And he's not going to let all these guys talk about him. So the debates are going to be interesting, but I will tell you, the only thing DeSantis can do, the only way that he can compete is if he does well in New Hampshire and does well in Iowa and then South Carolina. And then if he wins Florida, he could be the front runner at that point. So that points out that there's a long way to go and a lot has to happen. Not even one vote has been cast yet. It's still going to be interesting to see what the new polls are going to be, if he can make up some ground, because he's way behind.
These are some of the headlines. DeSantis is going after Trump like never before. That's CNN. USA Today. Ron DeSantis slams Donald Trump after announcing presidential campaign. Washington Post. Trump v. DeSantis 2024 presidential campaigns are about to get weird. Politico, and this was yesterday, Trump had an escalator. DeSantis had a meltdown. But they refer to DeSantis as being once considered Trump light. So now Trump team trolls DeSantis. I'm just giving you some headlines.
Yeah, and listen, some of the first three headlines that you read are trying to gin up the fight, because if there is a competitive fight between DeSantis and Trump, that's really good for all of the TV networks. So it behooves them to do that. And what I was saying about DeSantis running a campaign almost exclusively in New Hampshire and Iowa is not anything new. By the way, he's going to be in Iowa on June 1st making 4 stops. So he's going to be all over Iowa. And then you know where he's going? New Hampshire. And then he's going to go right to New Hampshire. Anyway,
and why is that significant when you?
Because they're the first 2 states.
Right.
Even though the Democratic Party has decided they're not going to be the first 2 states, both of them have said, I don't care what you do. So the Democratic Party is going to cut their delegates in half. And right now it's just a showdown. One of the sides are going to cave because you can't. Are you going to lose New Hampshire? Are you going to lose Iowa because of this idiocy? So yeah, I don't think that's going to matter. But so for the Republicans, though, it's still going to be New Hampshire and Iowa, and that's why he's there. The field of candidates, if I can get into that for a second,
Yep.
fascinates me because I think Trump and DeSantis are really the only 2 running for president. Everybody else is. You don't run for president just because you want to become president, and we've seen that in the past. Look at some of the people that have run for president. We've had a health secretary. We've had a transportation secretary. Pete Buttigieg came out of nowhere. He was the mayor of the 21st largest town in Indiana, and now he's a national figure and considered an heir apparent for the presidency. So he is. You can raise your stature by running for president because you get on the biggest stage, and if you can hold your own and if you can be impressive, that helps your brand. So if we can go, I think the top 2 are actually running for president, DeSantis and Trump. After that, I think Pence hasn't announced yet, but Pence is going to, and I guess he may not run, but it seems like he's running, and he's going to make up his mind in June. If he runs, it's almost like he has to, and it's like his last hurrah. I don't see him doing anything, but he gets on the stage and he gets to represent the Christian right. Mm-hmm. Haley and Tim Scott are running for vice president.
Yeah.
And right now, Tim Scott is killing her.
Yeah.
Because Tim Scott has been unbelievably impressive.
Yeah. Agreed. Has such a, and that I like her, but he brings so much. He's just natural, and has this warmth, and his background and his story, and he's great. He's amazing with a live crowd.
Yeah, he's been impressive, and I think he's going to continue to be impressive. He's going to create a problem for people on the stage at the debates. So I don't think he's going to attack anybody, because I think he wants to be the vice presidential nominee. And so and Vivek he's his name. He's now impressive. Who knows? He could get a cabinet position, but he certainly now is a name that everybody knows, and he's made a wave in the Democratic Party. I think Chris Sununu might get in the race. He says the odds are over 50% he's going to get in the race. He'll have the moderate lane all to himself. Mm-hmm. I don't know in this climate if that's going to be enough, but he's really an impressive guy, and he's a very good candidate.
And why do you think he's impressive?
Have you seen him on TV?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I think he's quick-witted. He has a great sense of humor. Nothing throws him. He comes back at the interviewers in a way that I haven't seen since Reagan. He can come back at the interviewers with a smile and interrupt them and just change the course of the conversation. And so he's a very good candidate. There's a reason he's been elected governor in New Hampshire 4 times. He is that impressive. The guy that bothers me the most, that I think might get in the race, is Chris Christie, because he's going to be a hired attack dog. He's going to be DeSantis's attack dog if he gets in the race. And all he wants is attorney general. So he will go after Trump like no one else does. But you have to understand he's doing it all for himself, not for the country. Or for the Republican Party. He's doing it because he's craved a job in the White House, and he couldn't get one under Trump, and he was there several times begging for one, and he was turned, no matter what he says he was offered stuff. That's a lie. He never was offered anything. And remember the time I was doing the interview for Jersey Matters, and I talked to that Republican lobbyist and fundraiser, and he told me it's embarrassing. He's there right now, and they're making him talk to Jared. And the reason that was significant was because he put Jared's father in prison and paraded him in handcuffs and shackles in front of the media. He was never going to get a job in the Trump administration, but they kept calling him to the White House and dangling these things in front of him just to embarrass him. Yep. So now he's going to come and the guy that he loved, Donald Trump, and wanted to work for, now he's going to attack. But see through that. He's doing it just so he can become attorney general, which is what he always wanted. And look, I hope he falls on his face. I hope Trump beats him up, and I hope he embarrasses himself.
Good.
I got that out of me.
By the way, speaking of Governor Chris Sununu, of course, everybody knows him by his famous father, John Sununu, in a national audience. But he was on, I guess, The View, and he said he made this statement and got huge applause that Trump is not going to be the nominee.
Yes.
He's an anti-Trumper.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Just a never Trumper. So I just wanted to point that out to
he doesn't.
To my listeners.
Let me back up on that a little bit. I don't think he's an anti-Trumper. I don't. And
he is a never. Come on, Larry. He's a never Trumper.
They asked him that specifically, and they said, "It seems like you hate Donald Trump," and he said, "I don't hate anybody." He said, "I'm just looking."
I don't hate anybody, but he's a never Trumper.
At the path ahead, and I don't think Donald Trump's going to be successful. Okay. He has too much headwind, is what he said. He looks silly now because of the poll numbers, but we don't know what's going to happen on the road ahead. I don't think a lot of people, probably your audience has, but I don't think a lot of people are paying close attention to this yet. And there's a whole lot that has to happen. The debates have to happen. And we don't know what scandals could arise. We don't know what gaffes people are going to make. We don't know what's going to happen at the polls, at the caucus. We don't know what's going to happen in Nevada. We don't know what's going to happen in Iowa. And all that's going to matter and can change the trajectory. It's just fun to talk about. It's like covering a sports team. It's interesting right now. The political strategy behind it is fascinating right now.
It's true. I will just say this about, and everybody's active on Twitter, anytime any of us talk about DeSantis, Trump, that I think that when individuals are saying they support Trump, it is emotional for people. It is personal for people. It's really less about DeSantis than it is for people who voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020 and feel, like, my goodness, to be a conservative in America, to admit that you voted for Donald Trump, it's like the plague. And the way that you're treated and the way that you're disrespected, the way that we've seen the weaponization of DOJ and even, Mark Houck locally and others, some of whom are listening right now, who had different federal officials show up at their front door, and it's an intimidation and bullying. And so part of the support that I see for Donald Trump also has to do with a huge group of people who just feel as if they're not going to abandon or be disloyal to somebody who got a raw deal, like conservatives have gotten a raw deal. And it becomes, I think, there's a connection there. There's a connection that I don't think a lot of people who are outside that realm really understand, that when individuals are never Trumpers or speak ill of Trump, what you're doing is you're speaking ill of me. You're judging and shaming me. And I think it becomes that Trump has connected with people, and the fact that he's being persecuted because the poll numbers started to change. Then we saw Mar-a-Lago, and we see Georgia, and we see, freaking Alvin Bragg and, in New York and what he's doing. And then I think there's a connection between all of this.
First of all, you started this conversation talking about Chris Sununu, Governor Chris Sununu. I don't think you can find any negative thing he said about Donald Trump, except for the fact he doesn't think he's going to win because he was asked the question. That's not a personal attack. That's not an attack on him. I've never heard him say anything negative. I haven't heard him attack anybody. And so I don't think that's fair to label him that way. However, you said something extremely profound, and that was the emotional connection between Trump and the people that have followed him. And you said, which is a tremendous point, for Donald Trump, it's political redemption. For his followers, it's personal redemption. Because they've put blood, sweat, and tears, and they've been attacked by the president of the United States as being extremists. They have been attacked by a whole lot of people just because of their political leanings. So the tie between the two of them is profound. The tie between the two of them absolutely exists. So that was an extremely profound point, and it explains a lot. And since we'll get back to our original topic, it explains why Ron DeSantis has such a hill to climb, because he has to get over that. And those same people that have that connection to Trump had that connection to him. And then they had to choose.
Yeah.
But they chose Trump because they believe DeSantis is mini Trump. They believe DeSantis was made by Trump. And that's why Trump was so smart in campaigning on the disloyalty.
Yes.
Because it resonated. It resonates with people.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I think the DeSantis people, if they're smart, they will look to that and be very careful about negativity toward Trump, but rather saying, I'm grateful for all that he did for our country. I'm grateful for peace and prosperity. I'm grateful personally for all he did for me, but we have to move forward, and we have to see that we have a huge country, and we need to redefine and make sure that we welcome everybody into the Republican Party.
Yeah, he's already. I think he's
know.
way ahead of you. He's already said this. Or at least, he hasn't. But his campaign has already said this. The campaigners that speak to all the media, they have said he's going to do the rope-a-dope. when they attack him, he's just going to bob and swerve, like Muhammad Ali did. And so that's smart. That's smart not to take him on head on and to just try to stay impressive and keep talking about the issues and ignore the attacks as much as you can. I think it's smart on his part, but you see, that's what you said, and I think they're already there.
So what else you want to talk about?
The Durham report.
Oh, I can't talk enough about the Durham report.
Yeah, did my voice just break
It
when I
did.
talked about the Durham report? I'm going through adolescence. I'm sorry. The Durham report.
The Durham.
Suddenly, I was Scooby Doo.
Yes, I give Larry snacks.
Yeah, I'm so upset about the Durham report. I'm so upset at the mainstream media. I'm so upset at people that are saying, look, he did nothing. He got nothing. Look at him. Because he followed the law. In the very beginning of his report, these are all, by the way, the attacks are all by people who didn't read the report. All they do is, and that's what the Democratic Party counts on. And so they count on the fact that CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, all the networks saying, well, there's a big nothing. He didn't get anything. He didn't arrest anybody. Look what it did. It's nothing. By them saying that, they're counting on the fact that everybody's going to go, oh, look, it's nothing. And they're not going to read the report. And he says in the very beginning, you can read it for yourself. He says in the very beginning, just because you made a misjudgment, just because you acted egregiously, does not mean you broke the law. And so he was explaining right in the beginning, I'm following the law. And although I didn't see any laws being broken, except for the 3 he charged, and they were tried in Washington, and so that's why they got. Even though he didn't see any laws being broken, he felt the need to write a 300-page report because he thought the actions of the FBI and the intelligence community were so egregious, they had to be exposed publicly. And for somebody like John Durham, who's been hired by the Democrats and Republicans, I don't know what he is, for him to say that and to talk about how they ignored the law and that they had an agenda and that things have to change is pretty incredible. And I can't wait for June 21st. That's when he's going to appear. That just came out today. June 21st, he's going to appear before a House committee, and he's going to talk about his findings.
Yeah, and it also tells me, and we think of this all the time when issues come up, that clearly the laws are too loose. That we need, if technically they didn't break laws, which is hard for me to believe that they didn't, then the laws these are not good laws when you have such unethical, egregious behavior.
Yeah, I guess what he's saying, because some people were punished, certainly Strzok was punished, McCabe was punished, some people were punished, but what he's saying is because they work for the FBI, the punishment is to be kicked out of the FBI, but they didn't break a law in their investigation. One of the things, and I was just rereading it last night and this morning, some of the key findings. One of the things that really jumped out to me, and I don't think it's been reported, is there was one FBI agent. He was told all the things he was investigating, and he believed in the investigation. He was their lead investigator, not in management, but their lead agent in the charge. And they showed him all the things that were kept from him, purposely kept from him. And he had to excuse himself, and he went out in the hallway and cried. And he came back emotional. And he said, no, I never saw any of that.
That's a sin.
And I wish I did. So you can't blame all the people involved in the investigation because the people above them, the Brennans of the world, the McCabes of the world, Strzok, they kept things from the investigators.
But isn't that a crime? No. I thought that if you hinder an investigation, if you hinder a potential criminal investigation, Isn't that a crime?
I guess the way it was done. Look, I'm not an expert on this. John Durham is.
All right.
And so I'm gonna trust John Durham on this.
All right, we got to take a quick break. You know who I trust? Piazza. This is such a great time. In fact, there's no better time of year to look for that new or certified luxury vehicle. And you know you want it. My friends from Piazza Premium Automobiles, they're always here for you to assist you in your unique vehicle search. And that's across the region, the tri-state area. Yeah, that's right. The Piazza Premium family featuring dealerships across Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey. Their newest location in Pennsylvania, Jaguar Land Rover, Harrisburg. So find that Alfa Romeo, your Maserati, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Jaguar, or Land Rover at PiazzaPremiumAutos.com, Piazza, PiazzaPremiumAutos.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Dom Giordano.
Bruce in Northeast.
Dom, my condolences to the legendary Barco Lounger. You know, I just think of all the glasses of wine that were spilled and all the farts that were absorbed into the back. It's going to be missed. It'll never be the same.
I hope I get home, it's still out, and I see who eventually takes it.
Somebody could salvage it, man.
Dom Giordano. Weekdays noon till 3 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving with new shipping options to deliver